there's white money, there's black money. It's
Yeah,
1.1 trillion on budget, 800 billion black budget. We're talking almost 2 trillion.
Yeah. It's astonishing. Those kind of numbers, by the way, are hard for people to comprehend, and it just sounds like, you know, some wacky conspiracy theory. Well, that can't be true, right? But
well, we just showed a clip where they were going, "Oh my God, we can't find 2.3 trillion." What are the numbers you're getting? If that was 10 years ago, how much is missing now?
You know what? You know, depending who you talk to, the number varies. But there's no accountability. You know, who's supposed to be accountable for that? Congress is supposed to make sure they don't do that. And when you look at the congressional committees that are supposed to have oversight over the Defense Department, they're all taking money from the big defense contractors. You know, they're in bed with the very people.
Why do you think Congress now could have the Secretary of Defense tell them, we take orders from NATO and the UN, sit down and shut up? How did it get to that point?
You know, gosh, I don't know. I think it probably got that point from people out there being uninformed and, again, just being like sheep.
Well, I've led you off into other areas, but you mentioned the defense contractor stuff. Give us the latest stuff we're facing, the good news, the bad news, the ugly news. You've got the floor.
Well, you know, the bad news is that the middle class is being cheated out of, you know, billions of dollars a year in federal funds that by law should go to the middle class, the small businesses where most Americans work, where most of the gross domestic product comes from, where 90% of all the net new jobs and 90% of all U.S. exports, small businesses, the middle class, that's the heart of the U.S. economy. That's a job-creating machine in this country. And they should be getting the money that they're supposed to get by law. They're not getting it. That money is being diverted to the Fortune 500 firms that have so much control in Washington, so much control in Congress, that haven't created one net new job in 30 years. They're shipping jobs overseas at a record rate. And again, you can't get this story in the mainstream media. They just won't talk about it. And it's, to tell you the truth, we're trying, you know, to stop it with our lawsuits. Just a couple of days ago, we sued the Pentagon for information on contracts with Hewlett-Packard. And we're trying to show that the Pentagon is allowing these major contractors to violate federal law and take the money that's been earmarked for small businesses and divert it to large corporations. And when we ask for information that should be released to the public, they won't give it to us. So the U.S. taxpayers have to pay $500,000 to try to withhold this information. I'll win. I always win. I've lost one lawsuit in 20 years. And in 1991, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco ruled that these subcontractor reports should be released to the public. And that's the law right now. And the Pentagon knows that. So even though the courts ruled 20 years ago that they're called subcontract reports, are releasable to the public, the Pentagon's going to try to withhold them just to make it harder for us to get access to it. My guess is, by the way, they're trying to stall for time to doctor up the documents. So by the time I win this lawsuit and get the documents, it won't be the real documents. It'll take 2 years in court to get these documents. But we'll win because we always do. And but it's just so sad to see, here in California, the state has a budget crisis. They're laying off teachers and policemen, and all these federal funds that are supposed to go to the middle class to create jobs in California, Texas, and every other state are being diverted to large corporations that ship jobs overseas, and it's just so appalling. And it's
treason, is what it is, and it's more than just making money. It's about bringing us to our knees, and it's like Big Agra tried to have the Food Safety Act after their big factories caused problems, and then they're exempt from a $10 tag on every chicken, but the little guys do, and they send inspectors out to harass. I mean, it's all written to shut down their competition. Now they want big pharma wants to shut down the vitamin companies, one of the few industries we have left. I mean, my God, what do these corporations think they're going to do after they've destroyed all their markets?
I think they're looking, globally. They're going to, try to do business in China and India and, around the world. But they're certainly not doing America any good. But I just wish that we could inform more people. And I think about Thomas Jefferson. Every time I talk about this, I think about Thomas Jefferson. And he said, every generation needs a new revolution. And he says, all tyranny needs to gain a foothold for people of good conscience to remain silent. And my favorite quote is, when the people fear the government, you have tyranny. When the government fears the people, you have liberty. So if you believe in what Thomas Jefferson says, one of the founding fathers of our country, we need to make the government afraid of us. See, they're afraid of guys like you and guys like me. We need to make them afraid of every citizen in the country. So right now, the people are afraid of the government. They're afraid of the IRS. They're afraid of the government. And we need to make them afraid of us.
Listen, I agree with you. People call me all the time, and I'm not some tough guy. I understand history. I'm scared of bending over and being run over. I understand the only shot. I grew up with bullies beating me up all the time. I learned when I finally started fighting back, even if they were 3, 4 years older than me and tough, and I lost, I didn't get beat up every day when I got off the school bus because they learned, oh, that guy's going to fight back.
That's right.
And so a nation of sheep will be governed by wolves, to quote another founding father, Benjamin Franklin. And we have that quote about when the government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. That's hanging up in our main entrance here at INFOWARS.com headquarters, because people in the military, the police, they go, you're right, but I'll get on a list, they'll come get me if I speak out. I'm like, look, the fact that you know that's the total proof, get on the list. Let's have it. Let's all be on the list. We haven't done anything wrong. It's the law that the small businesses are supposed to get a paltry 28%. It should be like 80%. What percentage?
23.
Okay, 23. So it's 23. They said 28. I mean, that's pathetic. I mean, it should be a higher number. I mean, this is amazing. How do we expect to keep operating, or there to even be tax rolls, if government spending goes offshore?
Yeah, it's the public is getting immune to this. These stories, come out, and quite frankly, remember this GSA story that came out a month ago? We would have never heard about that except that there was all this video, right? So stories that are much bigger than that never get, aired because there's no video. But my favorite Thomas Jefferson quote is this one: "The tree of liberty needs to be watered from time to time with blood of patriots and tyrants." And I'd like to start thinking, who are the tyrants in this country? If Thomas Jefferson were alive today, who are the tyrants that he thinks need to have their blood watered the tree of liberty? And here's a radical statement I'll tell you. My personal belief is we don't need more young people that are willing to die overseas for America. We need people who are willing to die in America for America.
Well, I'm going to steal that from you, or at least willing to speak out and get involved.
That'll get me in trouble.
Yeah. No, that's really well said. People do need to fight here in America.
That's right.
Well, that's what I tell the info warriors watching. Folks, you're it. I mean, you're the front line. You're all there is. And when people like Mr. Chapman or myself take action and aren't co-opted, when we do resist and we have the truth on our side, we end up winning long term. And that's what's frustrating. If more of you wouldn't just say, oh, thank God Lloyd Chapman's out there, thank God Ron Paul's out there, thank God, all these folks are out there fighting. If you realize getting involved, we don't have to save the world individually. All of us doing a little bit. It's the old saying of many hands make light work.
Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. And if you think you're patriotic, fight the government. Don't let them do this. Fight the government. Get on the list. My attitude is, come get me. Come get me. I'm not going to sit here and watch the government cheat the middle class and cheat small business out of billions of dollars a week and just sit here. I'm going to do something about it. And one person can do a lot. Before I started the American Small Business League, I got a congressional investigation into rampant fraud in the small business contracting programs. I got stories in every major newspaper in the country by myself. I filed lawsuits. We need more people like you and like me to stir things up and quit being sheep and quit taking the stuff from the government. They're cheating us.
Well, that's right. I mean, here's an example. I live in Austin, 1 million people, metro. And I read all the time, we've got state laws as well that you're supposed to spend it locally. People should be down there watching the budget items and going, hey, there's a Texas company or an Austin company. You don't need to hire, 3M to have it produced in China and brought in here. I mean, it's that simple. We've got to start holding these people to the fire, these little politicians that are bought and paid for.
It's sad, but to tell you the truth, I've been in the political process all my adult life. I've been around it. And the truth is that politicians at the local level and all the way up to the national level are pretty much owned by the people that fund their campaigns. And unfortunately, it's special interest in big businesses, right? And I had a Texas politician one time. I was giving him a tour of Fort Worth in my car one day. And he told me something. He said, when you're a politician, you don't represent the people in your district. He says you represent the special interest in your district because that's where you get your money to fund your campaign. That was 1980. This guy told me that. And he was a member of the Texas legislature. But it's that way, in Congress. Well, I think the congressional approval rating right now is something like, was it 10% or 15%?
Well, it fluctuates, but last time I saw it's 9.
9. People know what's going on, but they need to do something. They need to do something about it. But
well, I agree with you because so many people are afraid to speak out. I've talked to so many national media who can't report on the Bilderberg or whatever or things. But once other people start to report, it gives them cover to do it. And that's why we saw Bilderberg implode this year and massive coverage. And I see that on so many subjects. Take radioactive isotopes in aluminum deposits and these different phosphate mines that they dump in the water and call sodium fluoride. I had scientists on a decade ago, started covering that just occasionally. Now there's news reports everywhere. It's coming out. There's radioactive isotopes in the garbage they're buying from China, but also Florida. That's the leftover garbage from these mines that they use for fertilizer that they're dumping in our water. And again, that sounds so cuckoo that a lobby would take a toxic waste and put it in your water and then call it fluoride. So we're not even debating getting fluoride out. Cut right past that debate and say hundreds of chemicals that you call fluoride, including radioactive isotopes you dump in the water. I mean, that is just cuckoo level crazy. Anyways, I've been ranting. Great talking to you, Mr. Chapman. Give out the website. And again, any other points you think are important for people to know out there?
Read what Thomas Jefferson said and listen to him. And don't be afraid of the government. Make them afraid of you. And we need to work together. And we need to stop the government from cheating the middle class out of all this small business money so we can create some jobs and save our economy.
What is the number every year? If they really got the 23% they were supposed to of the federal contracts, what is that number? I mean, the federal budget's in the
evidence I've seen shows the federal acquisition budget is around $1 trillion a year. Small business should be receiving about $230 billion. All the research we've done, all the federal investigations, it looks like they're getting maybe something like $23 billion. So small businesses, the middle class, are getting 1/10 of the amount of money they're supposed to get by law. If that money were taken away from the big corporations that don't create any jobs and given to the middle class where all the jobs are created, our economy would boom. It would boom. And by the way, here's what people can do. I wrote a bill in Congress called the Fairness and Transparency in Contracting Act that will redirect more money back into the middle class than anything President Bush or Obama ever thought of. The Fairness and Transparency in Contracting Act. We need to get everyone to call their congressmen and senators and tell them to support that legislation. That bill will create more jobs than anything that's ever been discussed by anybody in the White House in the last decade. The Fairness and Transparency in Contracting Act.
And again, some people will say, well, we shouldn't have the government controlling all the money. Well, absolutely, because this corruption comes in. But it's going on now. They should at least follow the law to not have contracts not just be Fortune 100, but also be overseas. I mean, this is a no-brainer that if the money gets spent locally, it'll go back into the economy. But if it goes offshore, very little of it's ever going to come back. And that's why, I mean, hell, they've been saying that we ended the recession 3 years ago. All the economists say it's a depression now for 5 years.
Right.
Half the restaurants I've been going to that were open for 20 years are gone. Businesses are shutting down. Almost all my family that was doing well with college degrees are doing terrible. I mean, what are you seeing in the California economy? I mean, at least in the Depression, they would admit we were in a depression.
Well, the government has a lot of power in the media. It came out during the Bush administration that they had hired the 3 biggest public relations firms in the world that were giving them, millions of dollars a week. Millions of dollars a week. So you don't get the truth out there in the mainstream media. But just this morning on television, I saw something about, they said the economy is slowing. And that's the best we're going to get. But the economy in California is suffering. The state's, suffering. We have a huge budget crisis they talk about. Again, they're laying off, policemen and sheriffs and firemen and teachers. So every state's suffering. And to me, it's not going to change until we get the government to quit pandering to the large corporations that don't create jobs and start helping the small business